Thank you very much for joining us. I don't know if you knew this, but July is Uterine Fibroid Awareness Month. And this lady, of course, we talked to her. She is an expert and she does a lot of incredible work. Dr. Suzanne Slonim, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Lynn. It's nice to talk to you.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Now, I'm excited because Dr. Slonim, you brought two very impressive guests with you today. Can you introduce these ladies so we can get this conversation on?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. First of all, I would like to introduce the Honorable Lorraine Birabil. She's former Texas State Representative. She's a mompreneur, wife, attorney, and servant leader who develops leaders. She serves as the executive director of the Barbara Jordan Leadership Institute, which is a nonprofit that provides a comprehensive approach to community-based leadership in action through community education and empowerment.
Wow. Well, good morning and welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
The other astounding woman I would like to introduce is Teressa Phillips. She is the Vice President of Human Resources for a large healthcare organization in the Metroplex. She has been in HR for over 18 years and has a BBA in Organizational Development and Human Resource Management from UNT. And she is one of my patients.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome. Now, Dr. Slonim, tell us how the three of you came together.
We came together because July is Uterine Fibroid Awareness Month, and we were talking about ways that we could promote awareness among all women in Texas who have fibroids or women who don't know about fibroids and should. And there's been kind of a stigma about talking about fibroids and feminine health care forever, and we're trying to break down that stigma. And so I know that Lorraine is very interested in promoting things that are important to women and to the Black community in particular, and I know that Teressa shares those priorities, and so we figured that we could get together and have a conversation with you to let women know that fibroids are so common and there are things that you can do to treat them, and women need to be aware of them.
So, Dr. Slonim, this is a question I get from a lot of women. What causes fibroids?
It's a good question. We don't know exactly what causes them. We know what the risk factors are, and we know what some of the protective elements are. By far, the biggest risk factor is being Black. 80% of Black women have fibroids. Now, they're not always symptomatic, but they're very, very common. So that's most of Black women are going to have fibroids. In fact, probably 50% of women all over the world have fibroids, 50 to 70% by the time they reach the age of 50. So we know that being Black is the biggest risk factor. There's other risk factors like vitamin D deficiency, stress, foods that are high in sugars, processed sugars. Red meat is a risk factor. There's some things that we know are protective, like exercise and vitamin D, taking a vitamin D supplement, eating fruits and vegetables, things that your grandmother told you to do. So there's exactly what causes them, but things that increase your exposure to estrogen increase your risk factor.
So, Lorraine, for you, what was it that really made you say, okay, I need to share this information, I need to get involved?
So I think mainly my lived experience and the lived experience of so many other Black women that I have had the honor to share space with. I have fibroids. Every Black woman I know in my age cohort has it. My best friend has suffered debilitating fibroids that she had to have surgery for. So I've seen up close and personal how it can really affect your everyday life. And so I felt compelled to get involved in working with community stakeholders like Dr. Francois Booker-Drew, like Dr. Suzanne Slonim, and others. We worked together collectively to get this done.
Well, it looks like a lot of work is being done. And, I'm also one of those women. Of course, Dr. Slonim did my procedure. So I'm very passionate, just like you ladies are. So let me ask you, Teressa, we talk about what we eat. We talk about exercise. What about the emotional attachment to fibroids? How do you feel about that?
A roller coaster. I can tell you as a young woman, I am in my late 30s, mother of one. Hey, Arden. But I can tell you, just to piggyback off of what Lorraine said, just your day-to-day life. You know, my fibroids started acting up about 2 to 3 years ago, and I mean, you're talking severe symptoms in terms of spotting, cramping, not knowing from one day to the next, really hour to hour, what was going to happen. And then you've got the heavy cycles, everything that you read about, I was experiencing. And it really does take a toll on you because it's like, my goodness, I'm still young, I'm still very active, I want to live a normal life. And when you have problematic fibroids, it makes it almost impossible to do that. I remember having a birthday dinner earlier in the year with my best friends, and I'm super cute, dressed to the nines, and like I am just on edge because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't feel right, I feel uncomfortable. And it was just like I couldn't really even enjoy myself, and that was like, okay, now it's time to do something about this. And that was the driving factor for me. And then losing my mother at a young age, of course, that takes a toll on you as well, but that was really what was the driving force for me to get on track mentally, emotionally, physically, and make sure that I had everything intact as it relates to me, because I am raising a young daughter.
That makes a good point. You know, it's interesting as you were saying that, I was cringing because I've had that experience before too, where you have an outfit on and the flow is really heavy and you're worried about, you know, what the impact is going. Oh, please don't let me mess up this outfit, you know, the whole thing. And that can be emotional in a lot of ways.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm having them like walk behind me, look, check, check. I mean, nobody wants to go through that.
Yes, the conversation is fibroids in women of color. So, Dr. Slonim, they really are common in the African American community. You said 80%?
Yes, ma'am. I read a statistic. I didn't really get the impact of that as I was initially researching sort of the demographics. What are the characteristics of women with fibroids? You hear it all the time, most common in blacks, and then Hispanics, and then whites, and then Asians. But then I was reading an article, and, they pointed out that in Nigeria, 80% of all women have fibroids. I mean, that just struck me. 80% of that, every woman in that country.
Wow.
And there's so many, that it's everybody. It's everyone around us is struggling with these symptoms. Now, it's true, not everybody has symptoms, but those that do, it can just ruin your life. It's really, I have patients who are just debilitated by their fibroid symptoms, and something needs to be done to continue fighting them and finding out. When someone asks me what causes fibroids, I want to be able to say, oh, it's XYZ, and we can fix it.
Exactly. And a lot of work still has to be done, even though you've done a lot of work already. We are having a great conversation with Dr. Suzanne Slonim and Teressa Phillips and the Honorable Lorraine Birabil. How are these things treated? That's what a lot of people want to know.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to treat them, ranging from there's some medicines you can take that sometimes are effective. There's minimally invasive procedures like uterine fibroid embolization, which I do. There's surgeries. There's minimally invasive surgeries. There's open surgeries, all the way up to hysterectomy. There are a lot of treatment options, and unfortunately, so often women think, oh, no, I have fibroids, I have to have a hysterectomy. And that's not always true.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't really want to do that. I mean, if you have to do that, then you do it. Now, I want to ask you, too, Dr. Slonim, now there's an event coming up that we're very excited about. First of all, I'm excited that we're all able to get together again since the pandemic. So can you tell us all about that?
I would love to, but actually I think I'd like to have Lorraine talk about that, because she's really kind of heading it up. The Barbara Jordan Leadership Institute is the host organization for the event. They've stepped up and are putting this event together in such a wonderful way. So, Lorraine, why don't you take that question?
Well, thank you. We are so excited because someone who's with us now, Lynne Haze, is going to join us on site.
Yay!
So we're really excited, and hopefully the community will want to come out. We feel good about people being concerned about this because, as has been mentioned, it is so common. It is such an issue for so many women of all backgrounds. So it's going to be lots of fun. It's going to be on Saturday, July 16th from 11 to 3. And it's going to be at the Fannie C. Harris Youth Center, also known as After 8 to Educate. We're going to have giveaways. There's going to be family-friendly games, vendors, health screenings, door prizes, you name it. There'll be a DJ, a photo booth, as well as light bites and refreshments. So we've got you covered. All you've got to do is show up. It's a free event, and we'd love for you to join us and Lynne Haze.
Yeah, I am excited because, again, we're going to be out again. There's going to be a lot of information shared. And I'm really, really glad to see other people just coming, all of us coming together for this because it's been a part of my life for a long, long time. So I'm just really excited to be there. And we're going to keep spreading the word so everybody can come out. And we always have a good time. And you know what? It's a good networking event, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's very helpful for women who have fibroids that want to speak to other women who've had different treatments to be able to know what's going to be the best option for them. So there are going to be women there who've had different treatments, and they'll be available to discuss what their experience was.
And, you know, that's a really good point, Dr. Slonim, because I've had many women come to me to ask, well, you know, they want to know specific. And a lot of times they want to pull you to the side. It doesn't have to be, you know, around everybody. I found a lot of those situations where you can kind of step aside and talk to someone and talk to you and talk to the people around you. So it's really a great opportunity to do this. I am really enjoying this conversation. Dr. Suzanne Slonim and Teressa Phillips and the Honorable Lorraine Birabil. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more about this. And that's what's going on.